If you're struggling to get views on YouTube and you're not seeing any growth, it might be because you're really bad at storytelling. You could have a great idea, a great thumbnail and title, but if your viewer clicks on your video and the content is bad, nobody is going to stick around. Storytelling is the reason why creators like Mike Shake, Mr. Who's the Boss, and Mark Grober can pull in millions of views with each upload. So today I'll be giving you 5 techniques that you can use to improve your storytelling right now, and I'll be showing you exactly how those techniques are used across different channels to prove to you just how effective this is for growing a YouTube channel. And if you're wondering who we are at 1 of 10, part of what we do is actually work with some of the biggest creators on the platform, help refine their storytelling skills so they can bring in tens of millions of views for their channel. And we have a tool that also helps creators come up with better ideas for their videos. So the first burning question is, how do you even come up with a good story in the first place? Well, the first technique will make that easy, but first of all, we need to get rid of a common belief that causes a lot of problems for creators across the platform, and that is that most people think mapping out a good story starts from the beginning, but it's actually quite the opposite. You see, YouTube is all about leading your viewers on a journey somewhere, but if you don't know where you're going, it's not only easy for you to get lost, but your viewers will too and leave. Instead, it's better to have a destination already in mind, which allows you to take your viewers on the most engaging journey before reaching the promised land. At first, it may seem unnatural, but starting your story from the end and working backwards is the best way to go. And as for that ending, I have some good news for you. It only needs to be a short moment, otherwise known as your 5-second moment. It's the part of your story that represents a fundamental change, a spark of realization, a lesson learned, or a moment of transformation. It's the one thing that your audience can take away from your video, and it's how stories change people for the rest of their lives. So have a good think about moments in your life that might have changed the way you see things, an experience that had a defining moment, or something that taught you a life lesson, and then work backwards to craft the best journey to that destination. But that's where we run into our first problem. Crafting that journey is actually what most creators get wrong, which results in their audience leaving. You see, sometimes you can have the most amazing story, but if you tell it in the wrong way, it just becomes incredibly painful to listen to. So the real question is, what exactly makes the heart and soul of a good story? Well, for this, I'm actually going to show you a quick clip from Colin and Samir, where Colin does a great job in explaining what a good story is.
A really bad story will go like this. It'll go, this happened, then this happened, then this happened, then this happened. And you think like that's an extremely boring way to intake information.
Yeah.
And what you want is a story that goes, this happened, but then that happened. Therefore, this happened. So you want some causation between the beats in your story.
What Colin is talking about here is something called the but and therefore principle. And what this does is allow a story to have a back and forth beat to it that people find really, really engaging. The problem with using and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened is it's really easy for a viewer to get bored very quickly with all of this information just aimlessly being piled in front of them. Instead, the but and therefore principle allows us to create conflict in our stories, moments of ease followed by a moment of difficulty, a problem, something that stops us in our tracks and forces the main character to solve something before moving on. An incredible example of this doing really well on YouTube can be seen through Dream's Minecraft Speedrunner vs. Hunter series. In this series, Dream tries to complete the objective of finishing the game as his friends attempt to end him. Now, this is a killer idea in of itself, but the back and forth but and therefore in the story can be seen in moments like these.
Get him! Come on, Dream, come fight us. Done. Oh my god, where is he?
He's so done.
I just want to see him die, come on. Oh, he's on the edge of a lava pool.
Oh my god.
Get him.
What? What are you doing? Oh my god! What?
How?
What?
What did he do?
What just happened?
Are you kidding?
What just happened?
If it's still difficult for you to get your head around this, the but and therefore in this clip is Dream is running away from the hunters who are catching up with him, but then he hits a dead end. Therefore, he finds an escape route with boats across the lava. This formula is repeated again and again and again in each episode and was a massive driving force behind his explosive growth. You see, when a problem arises in a story, we can't help but question what's going to happen next. We wonder how characters are going to get past certain obstacles, what's going to happen to them or others for the story to move forward. What's happening is it's opening up a curiosity loop that we are desperate to close by knowing what happens next. So have a think of buts. and therefore next time you're writing a script to make it more engaging for your viewers. Now, what if I told you that your story is just like a bus and the passengers are your audience heading towards their destination? While the bus is moving, everyone is happy, but the moment it stops and is no longer going anywhere, everyone just jumps out. So technique 2 is all about movement, because if your story isn't moving, no one's gonna stick around and waste their time watching your video. On YouTube, there are actually several different ways to approach movement, but first let's have a look at Mr. Who's the Boss with his I Built series. The easiest way to describe this series is in 3 acts. Act 1 involves him researching and choosing an ideal technology to install for his chosen theme. Act 2 involves him going out to test and buy the tech. And finally, Act 3 is where we are rewarded with that final moment where he shows the tech in his chosen environment. This movement between the different acts of his story is what really helps keep viewers engaged, but it's not the only way to keep people watching. For the next approach, we're going to be having a look at Life of Reza, who is going to give us a masterclass in visual storytelling. If you have a look at how she pieces her content together, there's always a setup, an object, an action, a hint of what's coming in the next scene to keep the story moving forward. Take a look at this intro scene here that begins with her and her friend saying goodbye, followed by a car journey, her return to her room, followed by pulling some photos out of her backpack, and then only then does she start speaking to the camera.
I just got back from a trip to LA. I've been traveling a lot lately, and while it's been fun, I'm very happy to be home.
She literally could have just started the video with "I just got back," but all of that movement at the start of the video builds up story and context to what she's about to talk about. The fact that she rapidly grew to 700,000 subscribers is proof enough that this works. So you've got your story moving from point A to point B, but we all know it only takes seconds for audiences to click off of a video. So how can we stop that? Well, it might be because you've got nothing hooking them into the next scene, and the man who can show us exactly how to do that is no other than Ryan Trahan. In his Penny series, where he attempted to travel across America starting with just a penny, he had to find ways to keep his audience engaged, bringing in new viewers and maintaining them all across an incredible 30 episodes. But first I want you to have a look at this short clip here and see if you can spot exactly what he does to keep you wondering what's coming next.
So it does seem like the best move is to buy a bus ticket, at least to protect ourselves from the Great Reset. I'm sorry. The Great Reset is what happens if a brand or creator donates $50,000 to the fundraiser we have here. The entire goal of this series is to raise 1 million meals with Feeding America, if you don't know by now. And yeah, we have some fun incentives. For $1,000, your name gets put at the end of each video. $5,000, I give you a verbal thank you. But for $50,000, the Great Reset, the Great Reset commences, and I have to stop where I am and start back at 1 penny. Now would be a really bad time. So if you haven't already, please donate.
What Ryan is doing here is called increasing the stakes of his story. Stakes are the reason that your audience either stay invested in your content or leave. The physical stakes of possibly falling into lava in Dream's Minecraft series is what keeps us on the edge of our seats, and it's why videos like Mike Shake's "I tried day trading with no experience" can pick up millions of views. The reason why? Well, we're wondering about whoever we're watching is going to win or fail. We really want to know what happens next, what they're fighting for, and how it's all going to turn out in the end. And it's also the same reason why I've been reminding you throughout this video that without harnessing the power of storytelling, it's going to be really hard to grow your YouTube channel. So it's time to finally take your perfectly crafted story and upload it to YouTube. But of course, it's at this moment where everything can go utterly wrong, and it's all to do with something that we can't even see. You see this camera here? That dark, cold lens staring into your soul and draining all of the humanity out of your speech. Yep, I get it. Speaking to a camera is difficult, which is why it's so important to work on how you deliver your stories to your audience. Audiences build a deep trust with you when they can relate to you as a person. But the difficult part about talking to a camera is nailing that conversational tone, which makes a viewer feel like they're being spoken to rather than being spoken at. It's why top creators on the platform pay for acting coaches to refine the delivery of every single sentence that's leaving their mouth, and the reason why creators like Casey Neistat, Emma Chamberlain, and Life of Reza feel so authentic when you're watching their content. One creator that has become a massive superstar over the past couple of years is Sam Sulek, who is a master of making you feel like you're just hanging out with him in his car or heading to the shops to pick up some food. But of course there's a downside to this skill, and the downside is it just takes a really long time to develop. And one of the only ways to improve your delivery is just a lot of practice over a long time. As someone who's been doing YouTube for years, it's actually something I'm still working on myself, but here's a quick few tips to get you started. First of all, you don't want to think of your audience as this like massive crowd in front of you all with their ears pointed, ready to hear exactly what you're going to say. Instead, you want to imagine someone just sitting in front of you like a friend that you're just going to have a conversation with. I'm a bit of a weird guy who lives in his own imaginary world half the time, so I can kind of go into that weird zone when I'm recording a YouTube video. But if you're not a weirdo like me, I've actually known creators to stick pictures of their friends or family underneath their camera lens so that it feels like they're looking at someone while they're making a video, over just staring at the dark eye of the camera. Now, my second tip relates to scripting. You see, most of us don't speak in the same way that we write. So if you're new to making content, nailing that conversational tone in your writing or scripting can be really, really difficult. One thing I do when writing YouTube scripts is actually speak them out loud while I am kind of writing them, so that if I feel a little bit like when I'm speaking them out loud, I know that I probably need to go back and make some changes. And if you find yourself becoming a bit robotic while presenting, try scripting in looser bullet points so your brain has to fill out like the in-betweens of the bullet points, which helps filling out and connecting your sentences in a more natural way. But one of the saddest realities on YouTube is, crafting this perfect story. You upload that video and bang, 4 views. When that happens, your problem isn't storytelling. It's actually to do with your understanding of YouTube. So click here on this video to fix that problem right now.